Hey, I'm Jeff the Junk Seller. This presentation is going to be a little bit different than most of the other ones that I do. In that it's kind of an endorsement of a gold and silver buyer that I know. It's a company out of Tyler, Texas, and I've known this guy. He was a shopper out here, Micah. He was a shopper here at Canton probably 4 years ago. I may have known him for as much as 5 years, but he started a business buying scrap gold and silver, precious metals, and I think that he opened his place about 3.5 or 4 years ago, and he's just him and his wife Lana are just they have great ethics, and want to take the opportunity to talk about some of the events that have happened with them and what the rules are, the unwritten rules about selling scrap metals. The first bit of advice I'd give anybody is do the calculations on your own. Have some kind of sense about what the value of your metal is before you take it in there. There's going to be some variation, all dealers pay different percentages. Some will only pay you, if you get into some of these rural places, some of these pawn shops, they pay 55 and 60% of melt value. I'm not certain. It really doesn't matter. I know with him, I'm getting better than I can from anybody else. But I've seen, I've been in this business. I've been scrapping metal since the '80s, maybe even the late '70s. Um, can't really remember. But anyway, these folks, Lana and Micah, I was in there a couple of months ago, and I scrapped some gold. And one of the pieces was it was French. It was a billiken. It was a charm, and the hallmark on it suggested that it was 18 karat, which would be 75% silver. And they have an XRF machine there, and they shot it with the XRF. It puts an X-ray through it and tells you what the exact metal content is. And it was actually the purity was only about 70%. So I had suggested that it was 18 karat, and they have a new worker there. She's learning, and Lana tells me that she can pay 70% on it. Well, the worker misunderstood that to mean that that was 70% of 18 karat, instead of 70% of 24 karat. And the calculations are done. I can't remember what it all totaled. It was like $1,100 or something. But I wound up driving away. No, it was more like 2 grand. That's when I turned in the T set. Um, but I drive away and I'm going down the road and I get to thinking that I was shorted somewhere. So I figured out, just reviewing all the everything that I could remember. I called the shop and said, "Look, I'm not looking for any extra money or anything like this, but it may be a teaching moment for your worker." And I explained what it was and said that I think that I got paid for 70% of 18 karat instead of 70% on 24 karat. And Lana said, "Well, let me go and look at the paper." And she came back and she said, "Yeah, that's what happened." She does a calculation and says the difference is $66. We owe you $66. Do you want me to cash app it to you? And I said, "No, I'll be in a couple of weeks. I'll just get it from you then." Well, I made it in there in a couple of weeks. I had scored some gold out picking it, and I went in to sell them a couple $100 worth of gold, and I got my $66 out of it. But the thing the 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 way that it usually works is once you accept that offer, once money exchanges hands, that deal is over. And most guys care more about profit than they do their reputation, and most of them wouldn't have refunded me. But she was They really care about their reputation, and I have taken them. I've sent a lot of people in there. I have people that travel a couple of 100 miles just to sell to them. I just scored in Illinois, and I brought it down here to sell to them instead of selling up there. But I would advise anybody that has any metal to sell to do the calculations, understand what the parameters are. There's some fluctuations in market volatility will always change what you think you're going to get for it. Sometimes for the better. But and this bit of advice I have for everybody, because ethics and being honorable is just it's crucial in this business, because you can really screw a lot of people over. When you find somebody that's decent, when you find somebody that you feel like you can trust, you should promote them and cherish them, because you don't always get a honest shake, a fair shake from somebody, even though the more they tell you they will, a lot of times the worse it is. Most gold and silver buyers will give you a very good rate the first or second time, but then they start cheating you on scales, or they start pencil whipping you. It's a very it's a dicey game, but if you have metal to sell, be safe, do your calculations, and don't be afraid to walk away. Go and find another guy. And if you catch them trying to cheat you once, they're probably going to try to cheat you again. That's not to say that they can't make wrong calculations. I've seen that where you say, "Oh yeah, no, that number's wrong," and they go and it's calculations are difficult sometimes. It's easy to make a mistake, but the seller should know approximately what the price is going to be, what the value of their metal is when they go to sell it. And generally, um, once money changes hands, the deal is done. But if you've enjoyed this presentation, please give it a like. If if you did, then please view some of my other material, and please subscribe if you like that as well. But thank you for viewing.